What if Acaden Lewis is the missing piece to UConn's national title run? All right, welcome into the Hoops Cat Pod, a little mini, or I would say emergency pod. It wasn't planned, but I got a message from a buddy last night who's in this world and was just like, hey, I think you should look at Acaden because, I know UConn's looking at Malachi Smith. They're looking at some other point guard options to back up Silas and have almost like more of an insurance policy, because I feel like they look at Darius and Braylon as combo guards. Like, can they play a little point? Yes. Have they done it in the past? Sure. But are they pure point guards? No. And I think that's something that Dan knows he didn't have last year, and it put a massive amount of pressure on Hassan Diarra. So really quick, let's reintroduce Acaden Lewis. This was literally word for word what the assessment was by our friend of the program, Adam Finkelstein, who is also highly respected in the recruiting and scouting world. Acaden Lewis is a lefty lead guard who is extremely talented with the ball, has soft hands, natural touch that are the foundation of a very advanced skill set. His handle is tight. He's a layup maker with both hands. He has soft floaters and tough pull-ups alike in the mid-range game. I'm going to pause there. The one thing that you got to love about that when you think about Dan Hurley's offense is if he does come to UConn, they're not a huge fan of mid-range jumpers, but they'll figure out ways where he has hot spots where he's more effective. But they do love the float game. They do love the ability to kind of put you in middle ball screens, horn sets, dribble handoffs, where now Acaden's coming downhill, has the ability to float it at 6'3" or lob it to Terrace/Eric, right? And others. Continuing on from Adam's assessment, while Lewis connected on just 31% of his threes during EYBL play, he's a much better shooter than those numbers indicate. He made 83% of his free throws, attempted nearly 7 threes per game, and projects as someone who not only has gravity, spotting up, but can be a movement shooter as well, which I love. That means he's not just a catch and shoot guy. He can kind of go on the move as well. In total, there isn't much Lewis can't do with the ball in his hands. But the area where he's shown the most growth is in becoming a true lead guard. Does it make sense? Looking for that point guard that, beyond just next year with Silas, and generally more focused on throwing assists than he is otherwise moving the ball. But his floor vision and delivery from both sides impressed this year as he's finished in the top 3 in the EYBL in assists. He's a threat coming off screens, both on and off the ball. He has a tendency to stand and watch without the ball. That's something that they'll fix in his hands unless it's a predetermined action. Physically, Lewis is naturally leaner. That's okay. They got bigger guys. He would be the smallest of the guards at 6'3". That's something that didn't happen last year. And that is sometimes listed, that is official measurement, around 6'1" without shoes in the summer. But I don't give a shit if he's 6'1" without shoes. The dude plays with shoes on, but does have long arms to compensate. He's also older for his grade. He turned 19 in October. So this isn't like a 17-year-old kid. So he'll be 20 by the time he comes to UConn. Just because this is last year talking about this. Defensively, he has the hands to be a playmaker and is also a good rebounding guard. Love that. But isn't always able to sustain discipline and consistent effort on that end of the floor. Also something you have to break. Don't love that, but that's just high school AAU bullshit. Overall, he's one of the most talented guards in the country, and in terms of what he can do with the ball in his hands. But his long-term ceiling will be based on his efficiency, which UConn is a master at, and defensive commitment. Also something that they hang their hat on. The other aspect of this is his ability to build up his body and withstand physicality in the years ahead. All right, I'm going to pause there. This may not be the perfect fit, but the fact that he decommitted from Kentucky this late, and the fact that he may or may not have other suitors that would like to plug him in as a potential viable starter for next year, you have to think that this dude is going to go back to the top 3 teams that were in his commitment list. Kentucky, decommit, UConn, and I believe it's Duke. I don't think Duke has taken him. Duke has this roster construction deal where, although they probably should, if they have Acaden Lewis, they're probably winning a national championship because he's a pure point guard. So for me, I think that this is something that he's going to go somewhere where he either had an official visit or someone out of nowhere just has a ton of money that they can throw his way. But as far as this kind of stuff goes, you know, I think that this is not a no-brainer, but don't you have to kick the tires on this guy? He's someone that you definitely wanted. If, Braylon doesn't come your way because he wants to stay home in Indiana or whatever, I think you pivot towards Acaden. If Darius wanted to go someplace else, I think you pivot towards Acaden. So it's not like you don't like the kid. And I think that's a big part of, what this is about. Just because he doesn't come to your school doesn't mean there wasn't mutual interest. And I think that's something that we need to recognize. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about who is Acaden Lewis and does it make sense. All right, you're back on Locked On. Oh my God, I'm going to struggle with that probably for the next 6 months. You are not on Locked On UConn. You are on the Hoops Cat Pod, powered by Big East Energy. 6-time national champion UConn Huskies. We cover both the men and the women. The men's standard started and established in 1999. Go get your Hoops Cap merch at BigEastEnergy.com. You can see this shirt here. This is not the only thing we have. This is also not the only hat we have. I'll lean in and let the camera pan in there. Really cool. It's got nice stitching. It's very well made. The shirt is very comfortable. It's soft. The Big East Energy logo is around the Connecticut state. You got the Hoops Cap underneath and Storrs, Connecticut underneath that. But there's some really, really cool pieces that I put. I even put up some. I just had a baby daughter. I put up some like onesies on there with Hoops Cap and Big East Energy logo. So go check that out at BigEastEnergy.com. All right. Who is Acaden Lewis? He's a 6'3" point guard from Sidwell Friends School, known for his quickness, playmaking, and the ability to create off the dribble. All things they didn't have last year. The ability to create off the dribble. I know what people are thinking. Well, you got Silas. Well, you got Braylon. Well, you got Darius. Solo didn't create off the dribble last year. Very rarely. It's probably 10% of his bag. Hopefully that improves. Jay Stu, Jay Ross, all of the guys that came back, they don't create off the dribble. They need more options. Every team that was in the Final Four had multiple people that can beat you off the dribble. They had multiple guys that you could just throw the ball to and go get you a bucket. Do you remember our dominant team of 23-24? It wasn't just Tristan Newton. It wasn't just Cam Spencer. It was Steph Castle, Cam Spencer, and Tristan Newton. Okay? 3 elite guys who could get you off the dribble. And then because of that, a guy like Hassan Diarra, who, when all the focus is on him, that's a difficult task for him. But if he's the 4th guy, do you know how good Hassan Diarra was for us as the 3rd or 4th or 5th guard on a rotation? It was amazing. So anyway, his skill set aligns with Hurley's system. He's smart. He's tough. He's coachable. He does kind of loaf a little bit on defense. But look, I don't think anyone's thinking that this guy's going to come in and be the starter on day one. He's not. He's a 4-star. He's a project. If he comes and he transfers after 1 year, what does it matter? We're not going to go into this year with a roster of only 9 or 10 guys, That's just not happening. So for everybody that says like Hurley's roster is set, he only plays 8 or 9 guys, you may be right, but you can't negate the fact that you can add a guy of this caliber, of this talent, to push other guys. I had a great conversation with Ryan Gresh, and we're going to do some stuff here in the next couple of days about trying to get you guys a promo code for the Feel Good Lab. But one of the things that we talked about was, what does it matter if Jay Ross does not become who everyone thinks he can? Like Dan, of what Dan tweeted out, which was it's going to happen for him this winter. But if it doesn't, he's a culture guy. He comes into the locker room, works hard. He can be a pest in practice. Like these are you don't get to not equate what this team does from a roster construction. Like it's so important that a basketball team has guys who are glue guys, who are guys that make sense. And Acaden Lewis is a guy that they had on campus, that they went and visited when they visited Eric Riva in DC after the White House stuff, when they won the national championship for the second time. So, Dan also loves long-term player development. Guys like Jordan Hawkins, Adama Sanogo, Andre Jackson, like these guys, Isaiah Whaley, he came up in a conversation the other day. They foster these deep relationships with players. I know everybody says this, but UConn truly is like a family-like environment. And that goes for players and fans as a whole. I mean, I know there's some fans out there and people that watch this show or used to watch Locked on UConn who don't think I'm very good at what I do. But then there's people who think I'm great at it. But if any of the people, even the people that have given me shit over the last year or so, that I do clickbait or I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. If any of those people ever needed anything, if they needed something, if they were in dire need or anything like that, and I saw it on a social media, I would reach out to them. And I think that's something that is indicative about the way this UConn community is formed. And so when a player like this is available, it's almost incumbent on Dan and the staff to at least kick the tires on it. And because we're not going to do a 3-segment, this is just a quick 2-segment podcast. I'm going to wrap up. Yes, we have Darius Adams, you have Braylon Mullins, Eric Ryba, Jacob Furphy. David Ward just wrote a great piece about Jacob Furphy on Connecticut Insider. Go check that out. All very high talent, high upside recruits, and they're expected to stay multiple years. Maybe Braylon is a one and done. But I think the thing that I would love to see from this team as it goes forward is to keep stashing this talent. Because if you come to UConn and it doesn't work out, people know that you went through Dan's system. Like, do you think if Acaden Lewis comes to UConn and doesn't play a ton, his stock drops? No. He's not going to. Like, he's going to be looked at as someone who went through a rigorous year of almost basketball boot camp. And that in itself is valuable. So anyway, let's see how this plays out. I know Malachi Smith is on interest. It's really like kind of like which do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. Do you prefer Malachi Smith, who is 24, going to be 25 by the time basketball season rolls around, or do you prefer the 19 to now 20-year-old freshman Acaden Lewis coming in and having some potential opportunity? All right. Either way, he decommitted from Kentucky, which is always fun. All right, y'all. I'm going on vacation next week. There's going to be a bunch of pods out with myself and others that are going to be doing this show. So this has been another episode of The Hoops Cap, powered by Big East Energy. Go check out all of the shows on Big East Energy YouTube, which is Roll Jays, and we have the Big East Energy Weekly, as well as The Hoops Cap. There's 3 shows now. We're adding more and more as we recruit other podcasts to come and join us on the movement. Big East Energy, right here. Check it out. Whoop, there it is. All right, I'm out.